Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And today I wanted to talk about the unseen impacts that we have on each other's lives. And the reason why is because last night I had a dream about a woman that I barely know. Um, she is the owner of the um, yoga studio that I used to go to. And um, a few years ago, before my stroke, I had sent her a message on social media. I think it was social media, and I just thanked her for what she does for the community because I said that yoga had become a really critical part of my recovery, um, my sobriety, especially when COVID hit, because I was going to her studio before COVID and doing hot yoga, which I loved. And then when COVID hit, the studio offered Zoom yoga. And so I started doing that, and even increased my participation in yoga, and I was doing it every day at 4 o'clock. So I would work all day, and I would end my day from 4 to 5 doing yoga, and it was just an incredible time where I had really felt very balanced as far as doing work, focusing on my health, and I was getting to the point where I could do a lot of things in yoga that I never, in the beginning, never imagined I would be able to do, different poses. And so I had sent her a message and I never received a message back. I never received an acknowledgement that I had sent her this message. And if I'm being totally honest, I was slightly offended. I guess I shouldn't have taken it personally because in retrospect, sorry, in retrospect, I didn't send that message with the expectation of receiving a response. I was sending that message because I wanted to express my gratitude. And that's a good example of going into things without expectations. I I didn't I didn't do it for me. I did it for her. And as I at like after I hit send, somehow it had shifted from me doing it for her to what's in it for me. And that's unfortunate. I did I did find out a couple years later that she developed cancer, and then it became that shift. I shifted back again to be focused on her. And I felt kind of, um, I guess I would say I felt bad that I had been so selfish, thinking about me, um, when she was going through this difficult time in her life. Anyway, um, it's a really good example for me about how I can obsess about somebody who doesn't even know me. Isn't that weird? It's almost like it's my stinking thinking. It's my ability to like put my self-talk or my thoughts about someone on like a fast moving train and just let it go. And it will just um just take off without me. And it's like I have no control over it. Um, but we have such an incredible ripple effect in our human connection. And so the topic came up for me this morning as I was making my coffee before I went to my first AA meeting. The topic for me was there is this impact that we have on each other and we don't even know it. And then I went into my first meeting and the topic was live and let live. It was it was acknowledging how we affect one another knowingly, you know, like when somebody bothers me, being able to let it go, live my life, like stop obsessing about somebody else's behavior and and just live. So there is this quiet but powerful presence that that we have on each other when we're not physically with one another. And it can shape our very behavior, our thoughts, and it's just fascinating to me. So, yesterday, along the same lines, I had a couple experiences that showed how we can we can teach each other, we can be triggered by each other, we can transform each other in a moment. So, yesterday I talked about how I was leading a vestibular support group meeting, and there was an older gentleman who attended, who also attends the meeting that I go to on Mondays. And this gentleman had written a book, and he just mentioned that he wrote this book one time in my Monday morning meet or my Monday afternoon vestibular meeting. And I just happened to be paying close attention. And honestly, I'm not always paying close attention, but I had heard him say that he had this book and he named the book. So I went on Amazon and I bought the book. Because writing a book is a big deal in somebody's life. It for me, it just seems like it's an amazing ability to put our life into words and our own version of our life and our into words. So I was like, I'm gonna honor this guy. I'm gonna buy his book, knowing that I can't actually read the book right now. And maybe one day, I have been practicing, by the way. Maybe one day I'll be able to actually sit down and read this book. And so I told him yesterday, because when he got to the meeting, he said, "Hi Rachel, do you remember me?" And I was like, "Of course I remember you. I bought your book." And he was like, I mean, his eyes lit up. He was so surprised that I think that I bought his book. But I think the underlying surprise, really, pardon me, I've got to get more comfortable, um, was that I had impacted his life outside of the support group meeting. And that's really surprising when we find out that we are impacting somebody else's life when we're not even there. So that was one of the things. That was the second thing that happened yesterday. The first thing that happened was I had sent a message to a family friend, and I just said that I was thinking of her. And I got a reply back that said, "Not a day goes by that I don't think about you." And I was like, I was so moved that she would say that to me. Um, and I was surprised, you know? Um, and it's fascinating because why should I be surprised? N Not a day goes by that I don't think about her. So why would I be surprised that she thinks about me as well, you know? Um, I'm always thinking about my own like dysfunctional thinking that or dysfunctional my perceived dysfunctional relationships or inability to call somebody or reach out to somebody and be supportive and stuff. Like I always feel very much like I don't come through on being there for people, even though other people are like that for me. And it's just not true. It's just another one of those lies that I tell myself. What I also do is just switching the this around a little bit. Um, I I say that I want for people to support me. I say that I want to support other people, but in reality, and I think the reason why I always feel like I'm not coming through is that I'm always creating these excuses or these alibis to justify not connecting with other people. That I want I want solitude and I want connection, but I want it in my own terms. And I don't think that that is fair to me or the people that I have relationships with. There is no ability to grow, I guess, to nurture my relationships if I'm only ever doing things on my own terms. And that's one of the ways that I try to shift that um, is to I feel like sometimes I'm talking really slow, but it's because I'm thinking as I'm talking. So, one of the ways that I do that is to do the next right thing and not necessarily just call people when I want to. If I call people when I want to, most likely I'm rarely going to call people because I have this, and I think that it's related to my depression and my anxiety. Is I have this default need to be alone. Like I want solitude. And when I do that, when I force solitude into my life, um, I'm I'm not allowing that connection. And I find that the more and more that I don't reach out, the more people don't reach out to me. And and it's something I want to work on, really. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. It's just I'm trying to articulate this internal battle I have between wanting to reach out, wanting solitude and the effect that it has on the people around me and myself. I feel like I'm talking in circles, but I know I'm not. But it's a great example is calling my sponsor. My sponsor and I have a planned date every Saturday morning where I call her and we just talk for a short period of time. And the purpose is to stay connected. If I didn't have that schedule, I wouldn't call. And this is the first time in almost 9 years that I have really come through on a commitment to call my sponsor. It's the first time. Um, and that's unfortunate, but it takes what it takes. And if I didn't do that, my sponsor wouldn't have any idea what was really going on in my life. I go to meetings and my sponsor is in the same meeting as me quite a bit, but there's a different layer of connection that is needed between me and my sponsor. I need to set up this time to call her because when things get tough sometimes, and I've talked about not calling her when things are tough, I need to, it helps to make the phone a little lighter so I can pick it up. Um, if I don't call her, these invisible these struggles that I have become invisible to everybody around me. And there are certain people that I should not block out. Um Things like, so obviously the sobriety thing is a is a quiet struggle for me. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a struggle. I don't really struggle with my sobriety, but it's a quiet illness, maybe is a good word for it, where I make decisions all day long, every day, um, to ensure that I stay stopped. I stay sober. And without articulating what those decisions are that I make throughout the day, like what am I facing that I had to make a decision? What was I facing where I may have thought, oh, I remember when I used to, excuse me, I remember when I used to drink when I used to do this. One came up yesterday. I had an experience yesterday that I was thinking I used to drink when I was shampooing my carpet. So yesterday I was shampooing the bedroom carpet and I picked up my coffee because it was morning time. I had picked up my coffee and I was holding my coffee while I shampooed the carpet. And I thought, well, this is a first. I thought this is the first time I've held a drink in my hand while I'm shampooing the carpet since I've been sober. And thank goodness that it's coffee. But I think it's important that that train of thought that I had while I was shampooing my carpet is that the fact that I connected that to drinking is something that I need to share with my sponsor. It's something that if I didn't feel kind of like congratulative, congratulating myself for having coffee in my hand and not wine, if I was thinking of it in a way that I really wish this was a glass of wine, then I probably need to talk about that too. And what I did was I wasn't thinking I wish this was a glass of wine. I was thinking about what it used to be like when it was a glass of wine. And that is for me a yellow flag, not a red flag, but a yellow flag. And that's an invisible struggle that I need to communicate. I need to seek connection and talk about that. And I don't want to do it, which means that's the next right thing, right? The opposite, like George Costanza. Well, when I have with my vestibular disorder, I have a lot of similar invisible struggles. And one was yesterday when I decided that I was going to look for yarn for a new project. And I was scrolling on my computer. And I can't say that I did it for very long, but I did it for longer than I should. I did it for the length of time that I knew was unhealthy for me, but I did it anyway. And that really reminds me of the the time in my life when I knew I shouldn't drink, but I did it anyway. I get to this point of like emotional fatigue, and I'm just like, I don't care. Screw it. I don't care. I don't care what my invisible illness tells me. I need to do it. I'm going to do it anyway because I want what I want and I want it now. Um, I don't have inner peace during those times. And that's when, again, I need to seek connection. And what I'm leading up to is when I do seek connection during those times that I'm having these invisible struggles, and I reach out to my sponsor or I share it in a support group or in AA, I am providing an opportunity there for to impact somebody else's life. If I seek solitude and I don't share about that stuff, there are two things that are happening that don't have to. One is that stuff is going down in my dark place. Whether I like it or not, it's sinking down in my dark place and it's going to sit there. It's going to sit there until there's a couple other things that join it, and then it combines into something that is more disturbing, and I have to talk about that, and it gets a little harder. So talking about it in the beginning keeps it out of my dark place. The other thing is giving the opportunity for someone else to learn from my struggles and my pain. Um, I often tell myself it's the alibis. I heard that somewhere this morning and it was a good word for me, like providing myself an alibi for for not being accountable to a relationship and rationalizing like why I don't need to call somebody right now, you know? Um, and, you know, I don't, the only answer I have for that is do the next right thing, is turn off my wanter. That's the only thing I've been able to do that works is, I know I should call. So I just stop thinking and I just pick up the phone and I just call. Um, I have lived through a time in my life where I felt like I was not able to choose my path. I felt like I wasn't able to choose the direction that my life was going. I felt like my invisible illnesses were were the path to my destiny that I didn't have a choice not to drink. And when I had my stroke, even though I was 5 years sober, all of a sudden I was on another path again that made me feel like I couldn't choose where I was headed. And I think that's one of the things that I talked to my psychiatrist about is that I no longer feel sometimes still like I get to choose the path I'm on. And it's not true. Um, I get to choose now the path that my life is going to be on. I get to choose to go down the path of happiness instead of seeking the solitude and staying away from connection with other people. Um, and one of those choices that I get to make is to, I guess, sometimes just ignore what I want for the sake of my own emotional well-being. And always that includes reaching out to a person. Um, that impact that we have on each other, I think is ignored so often. Um, and right now, like it's so thought provoking for me because I keep oscillating between the impact that I have on others and the impact that others have on me. And how when I'm alone, I'm making choices so often to keep me isolated, even with almost 9 years of sobriety. Um, it's like making the choice between, well, I'm just gonna stay in my lane. I'm just gonna focus on myself. Like those are the alibis. And what I need to be doing is the opposite. I need to surrender and and understand that when I'm doing that, when I'm making the decisions um to isolate myself, that I'm stealing, I'm making up alibis and I'm stealing opportunities from other people um to learn from my pain and my struggles. And that's one of the reasons why I do the podcast too. Um, I think that I think that I think that my mind just went blank. Um, it did. So we're just gonna stop there. My mind went totally blank. That's what you get for listening to a podcast by a stroke survivor. That's all I have today. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Sometimes it's just humiliating. Talk to you tomorrow.